my name is Brandy Erickson, and I have come here today to share my story with you about some things that I have struggled with, most especially in 2019. And I want to tell you about how I first came to know the Lord. I was raised in a little Assemblies of God church in Kansas City, Kansas. I gave my heart to the Lord when I probably was about 4 or 5. I can just remember being in children's church and saying that prayer and asking Jesus to come into my heart. And so I've known Jesus as my Savior my entire life. But by no means has my life been perfect as a Christian. I really like to refer to myself as just a broken person who is loving the Lord, trying to live for Him, and just doing the best that I can. And I think that's really all the Lord requires of us. And I come with baggage, mistakes that I've made in my past that I wish I had never made, but they are there, and I know that the Lord has forgiven me. So let me just start by saying that I've come to talk to you today about anxiety and depression, and tell you my story and tell you where I am, where I was and where I am. I felt this might be an appropriate time to share my story with you. It kind of starts back in January of 2018. I had decided that I wanted to switch to a new OBGYN that was closer to my home. And I also switched pharmacies. And that meant that the medicine that I was taking for hormones, I'm not pronouncing that correctly, was changed to a different pharmacy. And unbeknownst to me, they were not being compounded correctly. And so by June of 2018, I just wasn't feeling right. I couldn't put my finger on it. I decided that I was going to go back to my original OBGYN, and I told him that I was just really struggling, that I was feeling anxious, these weird things were happening to me, and he decided just from symptoms that I felt that I was experiencing that we would change the hormones. And so he took me back to the prescription that I had been on a year prior to that in 2017. So I really had this sense that it was just all hormonal, that I just needed to get the estrogen and testosterone under control, and that, I would start feeling better. But my OBGYN wanted me to go on an antidepressant. He didn't believe that it was totally related to hormones, and I didn't want to go on an antidepressant. And he wanted me to get a second opinion, and he wanted me to go to just a regular general practitioner and get a second opinion. So I did, and they evaluated. I was only on a couple of medicines at that time. They evaluated my medicines. That nurse practitioner said, well, this medicine that you're on causes anxiety. And I was shocked, because it was like, well, how can a medicine that's supposed to treat one thing cause another thing? And so, and I'm a nurse, and I should know these things. I should put 2 and 2 together, but I didn't. You just put your faith in your doctor, you put your faith in the medicine, and then you learn that there are sometimes some negative consequences of the medicine. So long story short, I was put on a plan to wean myself off that medicine. But the way that I was told to do it was incorrect. And I started suffering from severe, what I call panic attacks. That was the worst of it was in August of 2019. In September, the very last day that I took that medicine, I had set a timer on the microwave, and I was just going to eat something, about 30 minutes after having taken this medicine. And it was almost 30 minutes to a T when I started having a panic attack. And it was then that the Lord just opened my eyes. He just revealed that what was happening was related to the way that I had been taking that medicine. And so I actually called poison control because I was scared to death that, this large dose of medicine that I was taking every other day, was I poisoning myself? I mean, your mind starts to go very fearful and very anxious because you don't understand what's happening in your body. Why is this happening to me? And they told me that I needed to stop it immediately. So it was like stopping a drug cold turkey, really. And from there, I started really struggling with panic attacks and anxiety. And it kind of just related back to what was happening to me. It's like once you get anxious, you are so fearful that these things are going to happen to you again and again, that it's just a vicious cycle. And so, I would do research and look up research articles on different medications and side effects of withdrawing from medications incorrectly. And every single one of the symptoms that I would read about was something that I was having. And it's, I believe, called discontinuation syndrome, where you come off a medication incorrectly and then you have severe reactions within your body. And I won't go into, take too much time because it's really kind of a scary thing for me to remember. But, some of the things that were happening to me would not only happen to me during the day, but they would happen at night. So then I was scared to death to go to sleep because these panic attacks would strike when I would fall asleep. And they would come in waves over and over again and just start with electricity at the bottom of my toes and come up through my entire body. My heart would begin racing wildly. My throat would get tied and I would struggle to breathe. And a lot of times for weeks on end, I would get up and I would get in the chair and I would start praying and start singing worship songs in my mind and begging the Lord to deliver me from what was happening to me that I had absolutely no control over. Okay, I said I wasn't going to cry. I had absolutely no control. So I was really just kind of left to my own devices. In that time, I started doing research. Because a lot of times it felt like I was having a heart attack. I ended up in the ER 3 separate times thinking I was having a heart attack, and it was not a heart attack. It was anxiety. And you just want to tell yourself, no, it's not, but yes, it is. And we can struggle with anxiety when we've been through traumatic experiences. And what happened to me with that medicine, I have learned, was a trauma. It was a traumatic experience. Severe stress can bring about anxiety and panic. Your body just stores and stores that stress until it comes to a point where it's going to bubble over, boil over. And it did in me. And it was a very scary time. My husband would read the Psalms to me every night because I was so scared to go to sleep because I knew what was coming. And I would say, Randy, just read to me, just read to me. So we would start at Psalms chapter 1 and we would go through page after page and he would read until I fell asleep. And when you're struggling with anxiety, you do feel like you are in the darkness and you don't know if it will ever go away or if you will ever be yourself. I remember talking to my mom and asking her, Mom, I've lost my life. I just want my life back. Am I ever going to be the same? And she would tell me over and over, yes, Brandy, the Lord is healing you. You're getting better. You're getting stronger. And indeed, it was a process. I'm trying to think altogether, a sleep routine, changing my diet, and exercise. Tried all of those things for months. And it did help, but it didn't take away the anxiety. So in January of this year, we had made a plan that if those things didn't help me, I would turn to a medication, because I do believe that the Lord has created medications for us and that they are to be used, that we're to use our brain and to understand that help is there, and if you need it, seek that help. And so I went on a medication. It took several, I want to say months, it wasn't weeks. It was about 3 months that it took for me to start feeling the muscle tension and the anxiety in my body going away. It's not completely gone, but I would say that I'm about 80% better. And, I find myself not worrying about things the way that I used to. Smells don't bother me the way that they used to. I'm able to eat more now than I did in the past, which isn't necessarily a good thing. The sugars kind of crept back in. But overall, it was a process, and the Lord led me through that process of getting help. But I want you to know that this is something that I never expected to happen in my life, that I had absolutely no control over. But I do believe that God is in control. He's in every single detail of our lives. I do believe that He hears us when we call out to Him, but you have to call out to Him. You can't try to solve all of your problems on your own. He doesn't want you up here struggling, trying to fix everything that is broken, because He wants to heal you. He wants you to know that He loves you, that He sees you, that He hears you. And you can get better from anxiety. I encourage you, start a sleep routine, start exercising, look at your diet, take sugar out, or at least try to decrease the sugar and the caffeine. See what those changes will do for you. If it doesn't work completely, then seek help, get medication, because that medication can help you. And it's a process. Look for a good, strong counselor who knows the Word, who can help you through the trauma and the stresses in your life. And all of those things together bring about healing, but most especially the Lord Jesus Christ. He is our Redeemer. He is our healer. And He, more than anything, loves you more than you can ever imagine. And He wants to heal you, and He will do that, because I am living proof that that you can be healed, that you can move past anxiety and depression.